Hey, it's Mike from Mike Jones Knife and Tool. In this episode, I'm going to be making a hidden tang knife with an antler handle. So right off the bat, the difference between full tang and hidden tang. Full tang over here. This is a hidden tang. Um, this is what a tang looks like inside of a full tang knife. You can see the steel runs all the way through the tang. That handle is just chock full of tang. Full tang knife. On a hidden tang, this is what's referred to as the tang, the part that goes inside the handle, and you don't see it at all. It's all inside of there. So that's what that looks like inside. You have to bore a hole in through the wood. Often a type of guard or something will be put on the front of the handle there, but the idea is the entire tang is, like it sounds, hidden. Today we're going to be doing a hidden tang, which will be this guy here, and a customer sent me this piece of antler that he's got, and he wants me to make the handle out of this kind of section here. So the knife will be in that type of vicinity there. So working with antler can be a lot of fun because none of them are really, no two are alike basically. But that can also pose a lot of challenges. You sometimes have to get really creative and figure out exactly how you're going to get a feasible and comfortable and functional handle out of something that's extremely irregular sometimes, you know. Nothing's ever symmetrical, and you get to use your creativity a lot. So step one is to go ahead and cut out what you're going to use for your handle. I sort of went ahead and jumped right into this one, but you need to find a section that's comfortable to hold on to, but is also long enough to be an actual grip of a knife. Unfortunately, this one's got a little bit of damage here, so I'm going to have to do something about that, but that's kind of what you're looking for. And then to cut it out, I use a handsaw. I don't know why. I guess you could use a power saw or, a big chop saw or something to cut through it. I think I like the control you can get out of just doing it by hand. And if you do end up working with any antler or bone, don't be alarmed. That smell is unfortunately normal. Don't get rid of your offcuts. All these little things, maybe it's the pack rat in me, but I can't seem to toss out these little pieces. They seem to have a purpose somewhere. I've used them for, you drill out a hole and put a ferrocerium rod in them, and it makes for a really interesting handle for a ferro rod, things like that. Okay, so jumping ahead. Next, you want to get yourself a nice long drill bit and get to laying out where you want your hole to be for the tang to go into. Unfortunately, like I say, because nothing about this is square or flat or anything, there's a lot of eyeballing, kind of laying out where you want that hole to go. And then you drill out a bunch. It's something I do. I'm not sure if this is what everybody does, but I grind kind of a little tip on the end of my tang, and then I clamp it in the vise. I've got it resting, the point of the knife is resting on a little block of wood inside the vise down there. Then I heat the tip up with a torch till it's super hot, and then I'll jam my handle material down onto the tang, and it will actually burn its way in there and make a perfect hole for itself. Oh, it smells bad. Whew. There we go. We made it. Then I like to just take my long drill bit again, and if this thing inverted, just kind of clean out any of the burnt, sooty crap inside of there to get a more positive bond with your glue later on. One quick note for anyone who doesn't know what these guys are, they're called soft jaws. They just have a little magnet on the back and they clamp into your vise for you. So anytime you're working with something that you need to hang on to and clamp down that you don't want to ruin like the finish on, like an antler, these guys help you give a really good grasp on it without marring up. Right, so once you've bottomed out, I cool off the tang with some water so it's nice and cool to work with, but also the tang is super hot, which means it's expanded quite a bit. The metal grows, and so as it's burning in, it's burning a bigger hole than it really needs. So when you cool it off, the tang actually shrinks a little bit, which is great because then you get kind of a loose fit inside your handle, which is nice because you'd want some room for your epoxy later on when you glue this up. You don't want like a super tight fit that you have to squeeze in there and it squeezes all your epoxy out and there's nothing left. A dry joint is a weak joint, they say. So the next thing to decide is what to do about the front. It's just an unfinished look, what to do with all this crap. Here's a couple of quick examples. This little guy, this is an old knife I'm planning on restoring. It's actually got a leather handle, hidden tang, and the tang actually comes out the end there. It's threaded, and you screw on this bolster at the end. But this one's just got a little brass finger guard there. Keeps you from sliding forward onto the blade, which is pretty typical. Very simple to do. I've done a couple of those, and yeah, it looks nice, and it covers up the end pretty well too. This one I did a similar idea, but I made it out of wood, which you don't see all that often, and I think it's kind of an interesting take on the finger guard because it's got some texture and it's a little more interesting than just a flat piece of metal. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this one yet. I've also seen lots of them, and I've done, like, you can taper this down a lot and just and wrap it with sinew. It's a more traditional finish. Sinew is cool because you can get it wet and it gets super soft and easy to stretch out, and then when it hardens, it dries out and hardens like rock hard. So it's a pretty handy material for that, and then I could run it up higher here and cover up some of this damage. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this one yet. Let me think about it. Okay, so because I don't value my time at all, I decided to go with a stainless steel guard on the front of the handle. What you missed is basically drilling a couple of holes and then a ton of filing with these tiny little files. Just filing and checking and filing and checking until that would actually fit through the hole. And then once it did, you have to make it fit really nice and tight up to the front of the blade, because you don't want to have any gaps showing through there once it's all glued up. You also don't want to see your hole on either side of the blade here in that little seam. So it's you're just constantly taking this thing apart and checking and putting it back together and checking and filing, and you're also filing on the blade to get your guard to sit down nice and tight, and it's just a long, arduous process that gets us to this point. So now I'm going to clean up around the handle, clean the guard up and get it as tight to the horn as I can, and we'll go from there. Alright, so I've roughed the guard in around the handle pretty good. It's not perfect yet, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the guard off and just kind of clean up the edges, really buff up the front surface to get it basically to finished polish, and then I'm going to clamp it together, glue it, clamp it, and then once it's set for sure, and then this guy's not going to have any type of jiggle, that's when I'll go around and get this finished up. Okay, so I've got the face cleaned up a little bit. I'm keeping it like a satin finish. I don't want to go super polished because the knife's not going to be. I just want to make it match the knife. It's the same steel, same stainless, so that's going to look good. The back I've dimpled up a little bit with a drill bit. Reason for that is I'm going to put some epoxy on that face as well, and it will just help adhere to the face of the horn. The horn itself is plenty porous enough; it'll soak up enough without having to rough it up at all. So that'll affix nicely. Jam the knife in there. Away we go. I've also cleaned up the butt end a little bit. I just rounded it slightly. It's just a natural kind of finish. I'm not going to do much more than that to it. It's smooth and it's comfortable. Yeah. Some of you who might be paying attention will ask what's going to go on with this. I hit this with a bunch of high grit sandpaper and it smoothed out nicely. I think we're just going to chalk that one up to character. Alright, so it's been overnight. Our epoxy is cured and everything is set, so I'll go ahead and clean up around the rest of the guard. I'm going to try to get as close to the horn as I can without damaging the horn itself. I've already got a bit of a chamfer around the edge there. I don't want to go too much more than that already. I just want to get as seamless transition there as I can. All I'm doing now is just hitting it with a couple grits of sandpaper to clean up around the edge of the guard here. There we go, nice and cleaned up. It's really nice and smooth transition between the guard and the bone or the antler. I'm really happy with that. So let's unravel her. And there you have it, sports fans. So all that's left really now to do is etch in my little maker's mark and give the edge a final hone and see if the customer wants a sheath for this bad boy, but otherwise. So that wraps it up. Thanks for watching, I appreciate it. I think my YouTube channel's up to like over 450 total views, so that's awesome. But keep checking back, I got some more fun stuff coming up.